Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cube Pod special on location pod here in Maui, Hawaii for the ACTAI Global. I'm John Furrier, host of the Cube Pod. Nicolas is here. He's a founder of a really compelling company doing some amazing work in more than confidential computing. This is the cutting edge side of where AI and security kind of intersect. Nicolas, great to see you. Thanks for joining us here in the pod. Not a bad scene here. The kites are getting ready to launch.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I'm glad that we did this interview before I went in the water rather than after.
So you and I are fellow journeymen on our first time lessons on kite surfing. I'm willing to learn.
Yeah. Curious, and hopefully we'll live to tell the tale.
Yeah, it's a really great scene here. This is a team of community members getting together, all kind of hanging out, sharing ideas. We had a panel. I just hosted a panel on power. We had introductions. It's really a melting pot of creativity, diversity, of ideas, the marketplace of ideas, and this is kind of going to be the key to this next generation. I want to get your thoughts on the scene. Obviously, it's afternoon time, so all the work and talk is done. Now it's time the wind kicks up here in Hawaii for the kite surfing. But talk about what you're working on, because you're one of the minds here that's contributing to the conversation, also networking in with other like-minded individuals. What's going on with you?
Well, thanks, John. It's firstly, it's hugely humbling to be surrounded by a group like this. It's every conversation so far, and we're only halfway through. Day one has been fascinating. But for my small piece of the contribution to that conversation, my company is called Cyborg. We're working on confidential AI. We're helping companies in regulated sectors be able to adopt AI specifically for inference in places where they couldn't because of regulatory compliance, because of IP protection, or because of security risks. And we specifically focus on the vector search part of it. So we have a confidential vector database that is the missing piece for confidential AI workflows.
So talk about the confidential piece of AI, because there's a lot of moving parts of the threads around AI. I've heard people say, it's black boxes. Really, you can actually find out what's going on in the models. But it's really a bigger picture. Now, confidential computing has been around for a while. So I want you to explain the differences between confidential computing and the new word we have on the QPod called modern legacy. Just a few years ago, confidential computing was booming, but now it's evolved with AI because data's involved. Still the same game, data security.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a continuum ever since Intel launched SGX about a decade ago, and then the work with TDX, AMD STV, and the various flavors of that in NVIDIA confidential computing. AI has been a huge accelerator to the demand for confidential computing because for really two big reasons. Companies are realizing the sheer value of their first-party data that they have, that they need to keep private, because the economic incentives to train on that data for their competitors is huge.
Yeah.
So they need to invest in the security. It's not just a legal risk, it's a business imperative. And the second reason is that companies in regulated sectors in particular, where they have reasons to be able to keep data already locked down, want to be able to adopt AI, but are limited because of its pervasive data-hungry nature, of the fact that in order to get a lot of value out of the AI at inference time, you have to feed sometimes very sensitive information for it to be able to run inference and extrapolate and generate whatever it's meant to generate on.
Nick, you bring up a good point. First of all, that's a good narrative foundation. But let's talk about the dynamics of the problem with AI is that you got to have data moving around. Data is moving, and it's got to be addressable. There's the edge, which came up in some of the talks, actually. You got cloud, on-premise, and edge. Sovereign cloud brings a whole on-country perspective. I think I coined that term, on-country, because, now you have people who want on-country, like on-premises. Mm-hmm. So that's another factor, right? So you have all these geographic issues. So data is everywhere. So it's not like you're securing it in a vault.
Yeah.
This is a dynamic of AI, and it's a table stake.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the concept of security at the perimeter is kind of gone today. AI is inherently, distributed. Training is relatively centralized. Inference is happening everywhere. The data is coming from all kinds of sources. It's stored in all kinds of places. So we need more granular solutions to be able to secure the data that is relevant. Not every piece of data needs to be kept at the same level of security. So you need granularity around that. You need ways to be able to do secure access control, ways to be able to have provable cryptography and security around that data. And you need ways to be able to do it in a fully automated manner that does not require human in the loop, because that's the part that doesn't scale with
All right,
AI.
so talk about your vision for the company. Connect the dots a few clicks out. and then roll that back to today, the use cases you guys are working on, because obviously you see a preferred future.
Yeah.
What's that look like? And then what's the use cases today that you're honing in on?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my fundamental belief is that the future of AI and computing in general is confidential. Now, a lot of people have said that, and there's good reason for that. Data in every single industry is becoming sensitive. It is a new form of digital gold, if you will. And I want Cyborg, and I want our company to be able to be a fundamental part of that future. In the more near term, we're focusing in on helping software vendors that are building AI-enabled software, specifically for financial services and healthcare primarily, and then we are doing some work in public sector and life sciences as well. These are the initial early adopters that have the key requirement is not that they want additional security, it's that they want AI in production. They're able to do POCs, but their CISOs and their
what do they want?
teams,
Encryption?
They want to be able to do it while maintaining their confidentiality and while maintaining the compliance threshold that they've had to live to for the past several decades.
And what's the preferred future look like? Paint a picture. Explain what it's going to look like. My data's flying around. It's embedded everywhere. It's encrypted. You got neural networks.
Yeah.
Explain to me, paint the picture of the future 5 years out.
I think your data is going to be encrypted with your keys, whether you're controlling them directly, those keys, or you have control of customer managed keys on a key management service of the cloud platform. And as a result of that, you have agency and ownership of that data. It's no longer realistic to expect all of your data to be within the four walls of your own data center and be controlling all of that, even though some are pushing that narrative. That just also doesn't scale. It's going to need to be living around the world where your customers are, where those stakeholders are. And our vision of that is that you own the data, you own the keys. It doesn't matter where the data is stored because it's encrypted. And then you have the ability to be able to delegate access to it and to be able to do secure, confidential AI inference and training with your keys wherever that may be.
All right, talk about the idea. Where did the origination come from? What was the motivation? Take me through that.
Yeah, it came about, I'd love to do a bit of revisionist history that, we saw this coming a long time ago. I started working on Cyborg full-time in 2017, dropped out of college to begin working on this, and we were working on lossless data compression. We were focusing on applications for hyperscalers and realized we can't just compete on performance alone. Yeah. And one of the side projects that some of the members of my team were working on was to be able to use leftover hash data from compression to be able to do searchable compression. Really cool. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted it. And so really looked at...
Great solution in a cul-de-sac market.
Exactly, yeah. Great solution.
But probably valuable now.
Yeah, it definitely more so now. But what we realized is we could apply some of the same fundamental principles to cryptography to be able to do searchable encryption. Developed that, and then that was in 2020 during the height of COVID, and then spent the following 3 years really honing the technology, doing cryptanalysis, working with academics to be able to ensure that it's rooted in well-established cryptanalysis and cryptography that's able to use FIPS-compliant modules for federal government applications, and really just developed a technology that now we're lucky to say we were maybe a little too early to the market.
So you had momentum on the tech side. This is engineering always starts first. I mean, it's not really a pivot. It's kind of a pivot, but it's more of a trajectory change. Yeah. So there really was no market. We heard from Bill Tye's talk about the famous Don Valentin. Get the market right management and then don't overpay. That's a VC formula. But the company application is, get the market right, have a good team, but also, make sure the economics work. Yeah. You got the money to execute, the price to value to the customers good.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of learning along the way, and we definitely went about some of the parts backwards of the technology first and solving the problem that didn't really exist in the marketplace. And very happy to be able to say that with hindsight, we were just a little too early. But we also had very patient capital, incredible backers behind us that were able to help us figure it out.
Well, you can see, folks, from behind us is the ACTAI compound here in Maui. Got a great view. Nicolas is one of the participants. I guess delegates, my words. I feel like it's a delegation of experts. Mixture of experts, as Brian Bauman would say on our podcast series we do with the NYC Wired. But if you look at the kite surfing, Daphne's always the first one out there. She's the one out there right now. She's going past us here. They're setting up the kites. They launch off the beach. Just a good vibe. What do you think? I mean, this is a cool community.
This is incredible. This is definitely a different place than RSA where I saw you 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we were grinding.
Yeah.
We're grinding hard here. Yeah. This is super hard.
For the next 15 minutes till we dive in.
Nicolas, we're going to do a lot of follow-ups. Great to chat with you. And what do you hope to achieve here this week? It's pretty chill, but it's not a lot of hard selling. People just bumping into each other. There's a lot of propensity, a lot of serendipity, just randomness to the conversation. I was just talking with Dave from Google. We're talking about hashing. We're talking about getting a hash system for our news so that we can originate it and say it's ours. Because with all the videos, this is literally my voice. I mean, these are the things that are coming. Absolutely. That sounds confidential. Actually, not confidential. It's secure, public, verified.
Absolutely. I mean, it's coming from the same root, and it's super important.
Yeah, so ideas are flowing here in theCUBE. It's a marketplace of ideas. theCUBE's doing its part. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.